Hi, I'm Harold Bell, and this is the Legends of Inside Sports and the Way We Were. In keeping with that tradition, on today's show, I want to welcome my partner in sports talk in the community for over 3 decades. She is a multi-award winning broadcaster with over 45 years of experience. She is a Kansas native and attended the University of Kansas, majoring in radio and television film. She is a pioneer in sports television media. She began her career in 1972 as a sports anchor for the Kansas University Sports Network in Lawrence, Kansas. In 1974, she became the first woman sports anchor on television at KAKE Television in Wichita, Kansas. She repeated this milestone in 1977 in St. Louis, Missouri at KPLR Television, and she put her show on the road again in 1981 for the very last time here in Washington, D.C. at WTTG Television, where she has since carried Inside Sports and Kids in Trouble for over 3 decades. Right now, I want to take a look at some of her career highlights of what the great things that she's done. She was the host of Starfinder, which was a 30-part internationally syndicated program based on the Hubble telescope. She was a squad room secretary for the final 3 seasons on Homicide: Life on the Streets, NBC. She has played small roles as an actress in feature films like the original Hairspray and Guarding Tess. She was a production assistant for the World War II Memorial Dedication and served as a production assistant for President Barack Obama's 2008 inaugural for the Lincoln Memorial Concert. We have seen her in many roles on public television as a host for many worthwhile endeavors. She is the former host of the Maggie Linton Show, a 2-hour weekday talk show heard on Sirius XM Urban View Radio, which I think was the designated black news channel. Well, without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one and only Miss Maggie Linton. How you doing, Maggie?
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, Harold. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Well, I'm glad to have you. Maggie, there are a lot of things going on, not only in the sports world, but in the surrounding community all over. And one of the big things, of course, is quarterback Colin Kaepernick. He's on the cover of GQ magazine as the Citizen of the Year. What do you think about all of that?
I think that's fantastic. He started a dialogue, if you think about it, almost 3 years ago. It's still going on. And so many owners of football teams and people around the country, including the president, don't get it. They don't understand that it's not about the flag. It is about the process that's going on in Black lives around the country. And when I call it a process, it's a process of racial profiling. It's a process of too many people being killed, too many people being blamed for just because of hate. And also a mismanagement of who they are and using "I'm a cop" as a reason to kill.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, one of the sad things is that when people of color, minorities, take a stand on something, there always has to be something negative made out of it that is not really true. And I think that's exactly what they did with Colin Kaepernick when he explained from the very beginning, this is not about the flag. This is not, this is about police brutality and what's going on in the black community. I mean, the same thing, Kaepernick didn't invent the wheel. We know that. This is the protest been going on in the black community forever. And one of the most significant protests of our time was the protest at the 1968 Olympic Games with John Carlos and Tommy Smith. And just think the trials and tribulations they had to go through. I mean, they were blackballed all around this country. They couldn't get a job, you know. No one will give them the recognition that they truly deserve. And I think was great that Colin Kaepernick has picked up the slack.
Well, Harold, you bring up the fact that, I know we're talking sports, but to me, one of the greatest protests was the sit-ins.
Mm-hmm.
And also the bus boycotts that happened in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. Those people, without cell phones, without Twitter, without Facebook, without any of those things going on, were able to keep hundreds of people, if not thousands, off of buses for over a year and change the way we now sit in America. That's a protest that gained ground and continued and changed the laws. And Colin Kaepernick, with his one protest, like I said, sparked so many things, but at the same time, it woke people up to more of what's going on still in America.
Mm-hmm.
As we often say, freedom is not free unless everyone is free. Yes. And there's still a lot of people all over this world, but in particular here in America, who are not free.
We're talking to, of course, Miss Maggie Linton. You can see her on my display board directly behind me, the beautiful lady, next to the guy with the big bush, Colin Kaepernick. You know, you are absolutely right, Maggie, that, you know, inside sports has never been about just sports. Inside sports set the format that's now being used all over the world. And so, yeah, it's never been about sports. It's always about what's going on in the community around us. And speaking of 1960 and the sit-ins that started in Greensboro with the Greensboro Four, I was a freshman at Winston-Salem State when that took place 30 miles down the road. And when it moved up to Winston-Salem, the first thing that Big House Gaines told his athletes, I don't want to catch any of you knuckleheads downtown participating in the boycott. And of course, I think he was aiming that at me. But anyway, three of my teammates, Linton from Lynchburg, Virginia, Bonnie Hood from Chicago, and my homeboy Al Mayo, the late Al Mayo, we went downtown anyway and participated in that boycott and tried to stay out of the way of the television cameras. But yeah, I was a part of that boycott when it moved 30 miles up the road to Winston-Salem. Yeah, that changed the whole thing as far as civil rights was concerned. I mean, that exploded all over the country. And now, of course...
But it also showed Black people the power that they have to make a change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think way too often we have sat on the sidelines waiting for somebody else to change it for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now you see people, these athletes who are multimillionaires, not just 1 million, but multimillionaires who are standing together and saying, let's make a change, let's cause and show where there are still so many things that are not right.
Yeah. Well, Maggie,
let's start the dialogue.
Yeah, well, Maggie, one of the things, you know, that we lack, and the athletes really didn't get up to stand together, because I was kind of worried about Colin Kaepernick there for a while until President Trump came out and said, anybody that does not stand for the flag, fire those SOBs. That's what brought them together. What we lack today, where we had Tommy Smith and John Carlos and folks before them like Jackie Robinson, you know, they really made the sacrifice. These guys lack courage. You know why they lack courage? Because they're looking at the dollar bill. The bottom line is the dollar bill, and they're scared to stand up. Just stop and think about where we are now. You know, the Michael Bennett's, the Shermans, you know, Doug Baldwin. A lot of these guys are taking a stand, but they really don't have their colleagues behind them. These guys have, I mean, they're sitting in the catbird seat. You know, they already got...
Well, you know, one thing I wish Colin Kaepernick would do is come out and speak a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, to me, once they really started having people be more a part of the protest, he needed to speak up and say, no, it is not about the flag. It is this. It is
Right.
He's kind of, well, what more do I have to say? Well, you have to say a lot.
Well, Maggie,
And that's the one thing that I would have liked to have had him say. And I'm pleased to see him on the GQ cover, but and finally speaking out a little bit more. That's the one thing that I really wish he could have done differently.
Well, Maggie, one of the things I don't know if we realize, it's definitely not a coincidence that the man behind the 1968 Mexico project was none other than Harry Edwards. Harry Edwards is Colin Kaepernick's closest advisor. Now, what happened with the San Francisco 49ers? I thought I'm telling you that was Harry Edwards' idea for Colin to step out there like that. Harry has to tell Colin that he needs to come forward now. Harry don't need just to be speaking for him. Colin should be speaking for himself. I agree with you there.
Yeah,
and, and I tell you, it's like a war going on now, especially with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is teed off because with Roger Goodell, because evidently Roger Goodell had made reference that, don't worry about it. We're not going to suspend your running back. And of course, he ended up getting suspended for 6 games. So it looks like Jerry is being very vindictive, petty, or whatever you want to call it, because now Roger Goodell's contract is up to be extended, and they voted unanimously for all of this happened that they would extend his contract. Now Jerry Jones said no go, and now he's telling the owners, having a fight with the owners about this same thing. So there's a war going on within in the suites up above, Maggie.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, when I read some of the things that Roger Goodell is asking for, I thought, do you want to keep your job? I mean, I can only fly on private jets. I can only do this. I can only do that. It's like, no. You still have to wipe when you're done. Let's rethink some of these things that you're asking for. But I guess you ask for everything, and then worry about other things, how it turns out later. I think Goodell really needs to realize that he's not God, but he does have some control. And nothing, the woman involved in the Ezekiel Elliott thing, she keeps changing her story every time the sun rises and sets. But sometimes, just because you were there, you get caught up in it. And if you can't change the scenario and it's past, go ahead, pay your penalty, and be done with it, and then people will shut up about it.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, one thing, we're going to move on, but one thing, you got these egos of Jerry Jones and Roger Goodell. This is what is involved entirely. Somebody got to step up and be a man and say, hey, look, we need to settle this thing. Maggie, let's move on to another courageous female, and that's none other than Jemele Hill at ESPN. This young lady took a stand. As far as I'm concerned, she's got more balls than the men on ESPN. But I think she made a big mistake when she came out the second time. She had him, Maggie. She had him in the palm of her hand. All she had to do was be cool, keep on saying some of the things, but be diplomatic about them. Don't give them a second chance to come at her like they did when she came out with the second statement. And now she's back, Maggie. But I think that she's not long for ESPN because the dollar bill is always going to win out, Maggie.
Well, yeah, and I've met her, and I have great respect for her and what she did. But sometimes, and you know this, and I know this too, you can't say everything that you feel.
That's right. That's right.
Unless you own your own roadshow.
That's right.
Unless you own your own business, you can't say everything that you feel. And no matter how you look at it, one way or the other, I don't understand how the man ever got elected president of the United States, but he is. And no matter what you may think, you don't get into a Twitter war or anything else with this fool.
With the president.
And she chose the wrong time to speak out. And I hope that they do not penalize her because she said a whole lot of of stuff that a lot of other people were feeling. And, you know, it's like she doesn't have the power that a LeBron James has.
Well,
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're saying. I done been there and done that. I done been there and done that. So I understand exactly what you say. I you know, when I look around and not we moved to the NBA now. I don't know if you had a chance to check out the story on Kevin Durant and there's no loyalty in the NBA. And that's nothing new, especially where there are a concentration of minority people of color. There's always going to be this envy and jealousy. And Kevin should have expected that. You know, when he left the Thunder and moved on to the Warriors, and it became a hassle with his teammates and colleagues and his friends. You know, they were calling him all kinds of names, and I think he had to maybe be a bigger man and move by that and say, man, this is my life, and I got to live it the way that I want to. This is my decision. And that whole thing was interesting to read, but I think Kevin needs to step back.
Right. I agree with you 100%. I've always found Kevin Durant a person who, number one, does not seek the limelight in any way, shape, or form, but continues to stay in the background doing a lot of really good work, as a number of other athletes do too. But getting into a verbal war with some of these other folks, and like you said beforehand, a lot of it's jealousy, a lot of it's my money. Is that going to be affected one way or the other? And I was happy that Durant went somewhere else, because he was never going to get, not with the team he was playing with, he was never going to get a ring. And for, that's one way of saying who you are. I look at Charles Barkley. As great as he was, Charles Barkley never put a ring on.
That's right.
Patrick Ewing, who's now back coaching the team where he played, he never got a ring on. Was he good enough? Oh, without a doubt. Going into Hall of Fame, without a doubt. Did he have a ring? No.
Maggie, speaking of the NBA, there was a big upset last night. The Warriors went into Boston with Kyrie Irving there and knocked the Warriors off 92-88. This is the lowest amount of points that I've known the Warriors to score since they had this great team. I think that when you hold Kevin Curry to 3 of 14 and Andre Iguodala 0 for 18. We need to start looking at what this Brad Stevens is doing with this Boston Celtic team. Defense. That's right. Remind me of the old days. And that's one of the things that I see with the Washington Wizards. I think the Washington Wizards got a lot of firepower, but they got to stop somebody. They're not playing defense. You got to play defense in this league. And I think what Brad Stevens is doing, he's building this team for the future. And Kyrie Irving, as I understand, has even fallen in line with playing defense.
Yeah, I have to tell you, Boston's one of the biggest surprises of the year so far. When you start talking about winning 13, 14 straight, you're going, whoa, wait a minute, who?
14 straight.
Because, they've been the laughing stock for the past few years.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you got to pay attention to them. They're for real.
Yeah.
And, it kind of reminds me of the way Houston was. Houston, laughing stock for years. 101 games lost, 90-some games lost. And all of a sudden, here they are. And you do have to build for the future nowadays. It's not just about one place, one time, 1 year.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what Boston has done. And you've had your close ties with Boston for years.
No doubt.
They've always been a favorite team of mine because they always generally had somebody from the University of Kansas on them.
Right.
I love them.
Yeah. Well, I tell you one person that's looking down and smiling is Red Auerbach, my man.
No doubt.
My man. Yeah. Maggie, let's take a look at what happened just recently over in China, where UCLA went over to play an exhibition game, and 3 young black athletes went into a high price store and decided to shoplift. I thought, how stupid can you get?
I'm telling you,
How
idiots. When you go
idiots.
into any foreign country and you're an athlete, and I've never been to China, but I know they were taller than almost everybody there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think they aren't being watched, and they're black too?
yeah, yeah.
How stupid are they?
That's stupid, Maggie. I'm gonna tell you, I think the punishment should be they set out the whole year. Set out the whole year. There's no way. And then the ball kid's father was there right there with him.
Well, the bald kid here. Let's talk about the father.
Okay.
Let's talk about Larissa. I mean, come on. He really thinks his sons can do no wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And their sons can do wrong. They're young men. They do stupid stuff. Okay? Mm-hmm. But his dad is so busy getting into their lives that he's not teaching them a lot of other things that they need.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, one thing that he needs to do, you know who he needs to sit down with? He needs to sit down with Richard Williams, the father of Serena and Venus Williams. How he went to the back of the bus and said, "I'm gonna let my girls handle this, and I'm gonna handle it from the back of the bus because I don't need to be out front because I know if I'm out front, they're not going to make it."
Right. And he needs to know that it's never going to be ever again about him.
That's right.
And I wonder if his son wasn't trying to show out just so so much has been said about his brother now that he's finally arrived with the Lakers in LA that he's like, hey, how about me over here? Mm-hmm. A way of attracting attention. And also like again, young and stupid. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really stupid.
Yeah. Well, Maggie, this
ain't done yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not done yet.
No, it's not done yet. And it's too bad. I hope that the father realized that he has done his job. He has done a fantastic job of putting these kids out there, getting them these shoe deals, getting them a #1 draft choice. You've done your job now, So be a father to them. You don't have to be the promoter right now. They are out there where you want them to be. Let's take a look at what's happening in there's this thing that's been going on. Well, it's been out there as far as I'm concerned. This fake news subject. Fake news has already been there, Mag. It's more prevalent now because of social media. That's why you see more fake news because there are people out there who are saying stupid things, not doing their homework, and a lot of things get out there that shouldn't be out there. And one of these things that I was looking at, I guess you heard of Mike and Mad Dog in New York, right? The sports, where they have made these guys responsible for the rise of sports talk history, and they didn't come on the scene until 1989. I mean, I was there in 1970, and every format around the country and the world is the format copied of Inside Sports. And these guys now, all of a sudden, they have, they're split up from Fan in New York, and they're gone their separate ways. I understand that this guy Russo, I think he's at Sirius XM Radio.
Oh yeah, he's been there. He has his own channel and all that kind of stuff. And one of the stupidest things he said when they first hired him is there was no black man that could do 3 hours of talk. And I go, excuse me, hello, been there, done that. You being one of them. And then of course they went out and got Stephen A. Smith. But there's a whole lot of black men all over this country that are doing sports talk, have been doing sports talk. It's just that he's in New York. They were based in New York with Sirius, and they brought him on. And I'm not a fan of his. And now I realize that a lot of my friends have known him for years, say he's a good guy, but he's not one of my favorite people. Yeah. And part of it is just because he shouts all the time. It's like, don't you have another gear other than shouting? He's not the person who brought us.
No, there's no doubt about it. Well, Maggie, one of the things I'm teed off about is that he has come up against Bart Scott taking over as one of the sportscasters at WFAN and the show that he and this other guy was on. He is protesting that vehemently that he don't think that he should be there. Why is that his business? He's somewhere else, So I'm saying, why are you trying to dictate who they hire as a sports talk show host. So that's one of the
Yeah.
things I really didn't like.
I agree with you 100%.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how much control are you going to give somebody that ain't even there anymore?
That's right.
Go away, leave us alone, cease and desist.
Right. Maggie, as we get ready to get out of here, I wanna bring up has anyone seen our old friend Bill Cosby?
I'm sorry, has anyone seen who?
Our old friend Bill Cosby.
No. You know what? Bill Cosby is probably glad all this other stuff is going on because it's taking the heat off of him.
I'm telling you.
This is crazy. It's crazy. But you know what? It's just like we were talking earlier in the show, talking about how black people do have power.
Mm-hmm.
So do women.
Uh-huh. Oh, there's no
And
doubt.
now you are seeing women bringing people to their knees.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ruining careers, but they were careers that never should have gotten to where they were before. You have to learn how to respect people in general, but women in particular.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do also, as far as I'm concerned, with whether a woman is or is not offended. You know, I was listening to the radio today, and they were talking about the Al Franken stuff. And, you know, we forget that he was a comedian first.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of stuff that he did as a comedian, you know, with trying to push the button as a comedian is a whole different thing than what comes now as him as a respected senator or representative. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so you have to, as you go through life, you have to think not just about now, you have to think about how it's going to be perceived later. And what's the old saying? Don't let a temporary, don't let a temporary problem turn into a long-term issue, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, things may not be going exactly your way, and you know, I think about people who do road rage and stuff like that, and then they wind up paying for it later, and that temporary inconvenience is something completely different than what you have to pay for later in life. And it's like, how important is the laugh?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Maggie.
that's the way I look at it. I think a lot of it may have been that.
Mm.
But now he could wind up losing, being a real loser.
Mm-hmm. Well, Maggie, the last word is the casting couch has always been there. The casting couch didn't just start. The casting couch has been there forever. I'm talking about, you know, going back to the Disney days, and I mean, just all the way back. Now, finally, women are using that power that they've always had, and is bringing some in.
Roy Moore.
Yeah, Roy Moore. That's him. Yeah.
Who's in total denial, and I'm going, this many women coming forward? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when there's smoke, there is fire.
There's no doubt about it.
I see so many ministers still getting up behind him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, are you kidding me? Would you still be going to those churches? Nah.
No way. No way. Well, that's going to be it for this segment of the Legends of Inside Sports and the way we were. In closing, be sure to check out my blog, The Original Inside Sports, and blackmeninamerica.com. And remember, every black face you see is not your brother, and every white face you see is not your enemy. Maggie, I want to thank you, and looking forward to you coming back soon. And
always my pleasure.
Thank
you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, have a great holiday.
Thank you, and same to you and your listeners.
Okay, until next time, I'm Harold Bell, and you can color me gone.